All right, folks, my apologies for running a little late tonight. For any of you that have children, you know, enough said, right? And late night session here on a Friday. I figured that folks would still be up and we'll record it for after the fact. I appreciate all your support. It really does mean the world to me. And I just wanted to say, folks, I got 3 reasons why I'm still bullish on XRP amongst a list of many more, but I'm just going to keep it simple. So first off, we have legal clarity. Second off, we have DeFi utility coming to the ledger. And then the third part, as I titled this episode here tonight, we're about to go live with Ripple payments. And remember, we had ODL, which was formerly XVIA, XRapid, XCurrent, X this, X that. And now they merged it all into Ripple Net and ODL. And then just recently, within, I think it was the last quarter of 2023, is when they rolled it on over to Ripple payments. And they report now that about half of that flow is going through XRP settlement. With that being said, we just got a report out here. This is breaking just today. And it was shared on LinkedIn by someone at Ripple, kind of just nonchalantly. Like, hey, we're having some meet and greets. We're having a lunch. David's going to be there. Brad's going to be, some of our team's going to be speaking there. Come have they called it a light happy hour, which I like that slang. I like that term. Just a light happy hour. And no, that's it's incredible to see because it was just thrown out there on LinkedIn so nonchalant. But this is a massive, massive deal, folks. We have people that are giving up, losing conviction, and that's all right. Maybe they see something that I don't. We also have folks that have had to sell because it's been getting tough out there, as we warned about. One of the best comments that I read today in the chat was someone saying, Zach, you were right about the recession, how hard it was going to get with the jobs, and how people were going to have to sell off their XRP. Ask me how well that content sells. It doesn't. And nobody wanted to hear that back in 2022 when we were sharing that, when we were calling it a recession, when we were warning about, no, we were in denial about being in a bear market. If you can remember 2022, it's already, been a couple years now. But we had just gotten out of this historical bull run. Bitcoin tops out in November of 2021. And we had warned that the bear market was going to begin in December. Sure enough, it does. And then we were actually willing to call it a recession when we got the data points that confirmed a recession in Q1 and Q2 of 2022. And we said it's only going to get tighter. It's only going to get worse from here. Inflation's only going to get worse from here. And sure enough, all that has happened. And now what we've seen on the domestic disturbance level picking up a little bit. Are you feeling safe out in the streets of America? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, worldwide, we respond to attacks on American troops. We had 3 service members that were lost, unfortunately. And this is a situation that as an American, I do feel like I have to speak on it. And as an investor, we have to understand it. As someone running a business, we have to understand this. The macro all reverberates back down. Ripple effects are felt down at the lower level. This is why I will never stick to crypto. On my channel, we're talking current events, financial markets, and what the heck do we do? And I listed off why I'm bullish about XRP. I got my reasons why I'm bullish about precious metals. I'm still in cash though. Even though my thesis is that this is the end of the party, doesn't mean that we get rid of all cash. We're in cash to go buy deals. And as we said, the first thing that I said in my recession to-do list at the beginning of 2022, income number 1. Despite everything else, if the song goes, more money, more problems. Well, I'll tell you what, there's a thing to be said for just getting to a level when you can afford the basics, which is, I think, what we all want at the bare minimum level, is just not have to struggle. Most of us are willing to put in a good day's worth of work, and we just want to be able to earn currency that's not going to be devalued so drastically. But that's not the game. That's not how it's being played. And if you don't understand that, you're going to get left behind. You're going to get absolutely cleaned out. And so it doesn't bring me joy to see some of our predictions playing out because it is doom and gloomy. And this is the same thing why when we were running up to 49,000 for Bitcoin, I wasn't buying the bull trap rally. We were saying it was buy the rumor, sell the news. Here we are. And now you're starting to see this is really accelerating. Let's get right on into the update. If you guys appreciate what we do here, Please drop a comment down below and let me know what you love about our channel, what you want from me next. I'm open for criticism. Please drop it below and let me know. We dropped a lot of content today. We dropped 3 videos today. This is our 4th video going live. I also dropped a TikTok short. We're pushing hard these days. And the mindset for me is not that I just want to dump content on my audience. It's there's always a new person looking to come into this space. There's always a new person that's wanting to learn how to prep, how to make more money, how to protect your wealth. What is the opportunities out there to multiply our wealth? There's always someone ready to learn in today's internet age, which is why there's no slowing down here. We don't even have, we barely even have brakes in this vehicle, in this train. This train is a moving and we don't even really have brakes. So that's my mentality. That's my mindset. Like I said, 3 videos already dropped today. We dropped the Meta update, Meta Facebook, right? Pumping up about 25%. I'm going to show you the charts. Meta's up about 25% in the last 48 hours. And this is based off of the news, right? That they had great earnings. They did share buybacks. They issued a 50-cent per share dividend. But what the masses and what the markets forget and miss is that they laid off 22% of their staff, that they laid off almost 20,000 staff members. They went from 86,000 down to, I think, 69,000, give or take. You can fact check it to the exact number if you'd like, but you get the point. They laid off 22% of their staff, and the shareholders are pouring more champagne, and they're buying back more shares too. And this is, once again, the divide between the haves and the have-nots. While the average person can't buy a share of Meta that's now trading at what is it, $474 is where it closed at. The average person can't buy 1 share of Meta, right? The average American doesn't have $400 to spend. So this is only going to continue, and this is the divide between Wall Street and Main Street. I broke it down more in the video earlier today, so I don't want to beat on that, but I did want to show you guys the charts because I dropped the Ripple IPO update as well. And in regards to that, I had an exchange. I put out a chart for Meta, and Mikkel, maybe some of you guys know who Mikkel is. He puts out YouTube content. Definitely respect Mikkel and the content that he's putting out. He's kind of more on the bullish side than me as far as market analyst right now, but that's fine. We actually agree on 99% of things, and it's all love between us. And so he posted below my Meta chart, and I showed, let me pull it up because this is actually a really good data point. I want to make sure you guys understand it. Let me show you guys this real quick. Okay, so if you guys aren't already following me on Twitter, make sure that we're doing that. That is very important. We're doing updates all day long over there. And I retweeted out this picture. Mikkel responded to my tweet of the Meta chart, and I talked about how Meta, they IPO'd at a valuation that was 16.4 billion in 2012, and it's now pushing over 1.23 trillion market cap. So we're talking right now about Ripple IPO. They did a fundraise at a $15 billion valuation. So they were able to go to the private markets and command a valuation of 15 billion. Let's understand that. And that Meta is like down the list. It's like the 5th or 6th biggest IPO in history. And I made the point that Ripple's sitting on more XRP. Their XRP is worth more than what the largest IPO was, assuming that Ripple hasn't done all of the pre-allocation contracts to distribute all that XRP that's in escrow. Maybe they have, right? Maybe 50, maybe 90% of it has been pre-allocated to somebody else, right? As of now, it's not reported on their balance sheet for accounting purposes, but we all know who's got title to it. And so that war chest of, 50 billion XRP, whatever it is, that's worth more than the $25 billion IPO that Saudi Aramco did, which was the largest IPO ever. But key data point, right? Because Mikkel had responded and he said, buy stocks or own stocks, right? We want to own stocks. We want to own equity. We want to own assets. And I added a little disclaimer before they go public or after the IPO hype dies out. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. This would be your Facebook Meta chart. And you can see After it IPO'd in 2012, it dropped off, right? It dropped off quite a bit. I'm not going to take the measurement here, but you see it dropped off quite a bit. And from that low, after it got cleaned out after the IPO hype, from there, all to where we're at today, right now, you're talking about 2,600%. You're talking about a 26x if you were to able to get in on that, even not before they went public. We're not talking pre-IPO. We're talking about after they go public, the market eats it up for a second and then it dies off. And we see this time and time again. So I wanted to make this point for the average person that can't get access, the non-accredited investors that maybe can't get access to platforms like Link2 and others. I wanted to make the point that, even if you wait for the IPO hype to die out and then you get in on a position that you see, has fundamental value, and you're a long-term investor on just value positions, value stocks, you ride this thing up. I mean, is Ripple going to do what Meta does? That's yet to be seen. But I'm arguing right now that they could IPO it more than Meta with ease. With ease. And once again, we're at a 50-cent XRP. Ripple just did a $11 billion tender offer buyback of former employees. And so that valuation was done while XRP is trading at what, 50, 60 cents? Just think about XRP going to $2-3 for an entity that holds 50 billion. You see how quickly this equation changes? How quickly this reality moves? That's why this is not a game to me. There's a lot of people still hating on Ripple and XRP every single day, every single video I put out right now. And I say, good luck, God bless. I wish you the best. I really do. If you got the alpha, drop it in the comments down below. I'll review the coin. I'll review the stock. But for me, positions like this in the overvalued tech stocks, the Magnificent Seven, that have literally added $3 trillion in market cap just in the first month of this year, then that's fine. But for me, I think that they're pushing towards the end before we get a correction. And many of them already did go through a big correction, by the way. Many of these positions were actually down 20 to 30% or more during 2022. But since the October 2023 low, total gains for the Magnificent Seven are approaching $5 trillion. But this is why we saw, on Friday, where $500 billion worth of market cap got cleaned out of the S&P 500. Today's Friday. Once again, I still got a cold. I can't even remember what day it is. And we're locked in right now. That was earlier this week that the S&P 500 had 500 billion of that market cap wiped out. So just as quickly as it goes up, the party can end as well. So it's something to consider. Now, as we're watching on the current event fronts, Patrick Bet David, the U.S. is officially at war with Iran. Now, has Biden declared this? No. He's made a statement that they don't wish conflict with anyone in the Middle East. But if you seek harm on Americans, we will respond. Patrick Bet David is saying that this is officially at war with Iran. This is no longer a proxy war. This is direct conflict. I would have to agree. U.S. troops drop 125 bombs on 85 targets linked to Iran's Revolutionary Guard in devastating airstrikes on Iraq and Syria. Whatever happened to world peace under this administration? Well, that's one heck of a question. I will say that. And I don't care who our president is. I think that Americans as a collective, right, and as a majority, a super majority, not just a 51% majority. I'm talking about XRP ledger style consensus. About 80% of the people are just sick and tired of seeing our good men and women put in harm's way and the military excursions continuing on when we have not been defending the homeland, when we have issues back home. We have Americans getting taken out every day in the streets of America, whether it's violence, whether it's other issues, all part of a changing world order. That's why I added back up on the bookshelf there, Changing World Order from Ray Dalio. I'm going to get back into that book again. I actually listened to most of the book. I believe I finished it maybe. That was a few years ago. He put that book out a while ago, but that's just a classic to understand the internal chaos, external chaos, and that's all part of this falling empire trying to hold up this reserve currency status. And you can see what we do. We rain hell. This was about 30 minutes. 30 minutes precision strikes, and we brought it down. Now, I retweeted out this and I asked the question, how long until we see retaliatory attacks back in the U.S. homeland? Because that's what we got to prepare for now. And this is not me. This is FBI documents. You guys have seen them probably. You guys have seen. This is not me talking. This is FBI officials warning about the imminent threats that we now face back here in the homeland. And what do you think is going to happen? So we can sit here and cheerlead, oh, we're the big USA, we got them. And I'll tell you, it is impressive on a military front, absolutely. But, oh boy, I am praying right now for our country, for my family. This is a real situation that's about to get even hotter. Now, what we see here, to reiterate that point, U.S. Defense Secretary Austin's statement on strikes on Iraq and Syria, quote, "This is the start of our response." Apparently, they're not done. Standing up here, and this is Austin. He was in the hospital there for a little bit. Now he's back out. We'll be continuing to watch this one. But this is why, in my opinion, you're seeing a lot of the insiders run for the hills. This is why Mark Zuckerberg, right? He's just took the stand in Congress, right? He got publicly shamed in front of Congress. And then he went, how many billions has he made in the last 48 hours? Do you think that this guy, do you think that, I mean, you know how they operate. He's building $100 million plus bunker probably, and he's making billies, and he has to go sit in front of Congress and get shamed for a little bit. That's just another day doing business for these guys, right? And what I'm talking about here is the insiders dumping. Mark Zuckerberg was dumping shares. That was reported last week. And now we see, I got this one pulled up right here. Bezos files to sell about $8.6 billion in Amazon stock before January 2025. Now, he dumped a couple billion last year in 2023 to finish off the year. And now he's dumping another $8 billion. And we've seen all of these CEOs of these companies, they're letting the market eat it all up, get themselves all hyped up. And what Bezos has been swimming on the yacht with this new wifey. I mean, and once again, building bunkers. Now, I'm not here to get too crazy, right? We're just acknowledging the threats that we face. We have to acknowledge this situation before we can get into how do we make some gains, bro? You know what I'm saying? You have to have a fundamental understanding of the macroeconomics, the current affairs, and the foreign policy that we're tied up in here, because this is how we defend the U.S. dollar reserve currency status. And you have to understand the implications of this story, this party for the U.S. dollar reserve currency status coming to an end and what that means for us back home. Like I said, disconnect between Wall Street, the elites, the Zucks, the Bezos versus, grocery bills, gas. We can't even heat our house. It's just getting tight, right? Now, in the middle of this is where I'm at, where I'm exposing what these guys are doing, and then I'm trying to bring up folks that are just trying to make it. And this is why we're working our butts off so that with whatever leftovers that we have, we can find investment opportunities. There is no denying that the transfer of wealth is already underway. It's just a question of, are you getting on the right side of the transfer of wealth that is already underway? And it's all right. If you're not there right now, the good news is that you can change that. And that's what we try to do here every day, right? If you guys are new here, if you appreciate what we do, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's keep it rolling, guys. We have a lot to cover. I did see that we got a super chat. I didn't want to miss that from Tyrus. Thank you for the 2-spot, Tyrus. Really do appreciate all the love from you, my friend. As always, it's a Friday night live. I have myself a very ridiculously tall thing of tea here. I didn't even mean to make it this big, but that's what we're rolling with now. We got a little bit of tea. I got myself a body armor. I probably shouldn't be doing a live because I do have a little cold, but I'm just thankful that I've only had the snivels a few times in the past few years. So all things considered, can't complain over here. Thank God. That Stanley's keeping it cooking. Jobs numbers just came out. When we look at the details, as always, you find you know who. all jobs added in the past year have been part-time workers. So while they're reporting that some 300,000 jobs have been added, you got to look. What we had is we had about 90,000 part-time, I believe, added and about 60,000 full-time lost. So it's actually only a net gain of about 30,000 jobs part-time. And this is the trend right here, is that all these jobs numbers, once again, you go back and you look, they revise them back down lower. They always misreport high. So that's just a headline number. But this headline number that we got this week just absolutely smashed. We absolutely killed it on all of the job numbers, on the unemployment rate. And so once again, how does the Fed cut rates? How does the Fed cut rates in an environment when we're still buying memes? Literally, right? We're paying $9,000 on average for a Super Bowl ticket is what I saw. You know, I was going to pull this up. I have it saved in my bookmarks, but the average Super Bowl ticket was up 40% from the peak last year, I believe. And it's up like 60% from the previous high in 2021 or something like that. Like we're spending $9,000 for a Super Bowl ticket still. We're buying memes. We're, you know, and like I've been saying, though, you look at these jobs numbers, it's all part-time. We have a record high of people getting 2 and 3 jobs. So it's not strong jobs numbers. Markets don't care. Markets just want to rip. And the markets can rip because the wealthy top percent still have cash ready to deploy, i.e. Warren the Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, sitting on 147 billion cash. That's why the market can still rip, even though the fundamentals don't make sense and our reality seems upside down. It is because it is upside down. And they're coming to buy it all while we get left on the sidelines waiting for our UBI check to come in the form of CBDC. Do a little dance, take a little jab, get a little CBDC. You know, that's our reality. Into cryptocurrency, let's get it, folks. If you appreciate it, you know what to do. This is absolutely massive. As I said at the very beginning, I got 3 reasons why I'm still so bullish on XRP. 1, only digital asset in the United States with legal clarity. 2, we're finally getting DeFi utility in our ecosystem. We have not had this. We have had a bunch of crap that they tried to throw up, and a lot of it was just decentralized Ponzi schemes. Layer 2s on Ethereum, crap on Ethereum and other chains. And how'd the program work out? Completely full of rug pulls and scams. Most of the projects down 90 to 99%. When we look at the XRP ledger, the caliber of talent that is coming to build, that is going to Ripple, and the companies and institutions that are partnering with Ripple and now choosing the XRP ledger outside of Ripple. This is what gets exciting. And this is what this tweet is about right here. This is from Dom, who is the co-founder of Easy A, who partnered up with Ripple. And he's reporting another record-breaking week at Easy A with over 1,000 builders completing our Ripple X Dev challenges in the first 24 hours since launch. Rest up, Gigabrains. On Monday, we drop our second challenge. So this is the 60 Days of XRP Ledger challenge between Ripple X, which is the developer wing of Ripple, right? You have to understand how big this corporation, how big this entity, this behemoth really already is before it's even gone public. This is an absolute monster. And the Ripple X side is the developer side of it. And so they've partnered up with Easy A, which is touting 750,000 developers that have their app and that are within their ecosystem. It's an app that you can play with. And I just asked Vet, one of the validators on the XRP ledger today, I asked him what he thought about this news and about this company. And he said that they're legit, that he's done some of their programs. And he's one of the validators on the DUNL list, one of the 35 that are actually really running the XRP ledger for us. So huge shout to Vet. And I always like being able to ask someone like that who plays with it. And I say play, but actually, you know, is building with it. Very serious stuff. With Vet, he's got one of the biggest NFT platforms on the XRP ledger with XRP Cafe. On top of that, he runs the critical infrastructure for the XRPL. I asked him about this, and he said that it's a very legit deal. Their network's already about 750,000. And I picked up on this earlier. What we have is we have 1 billion users is their goal that they're trying to bring into Web3. A billion developers. Now, I think that might be a little that might be a little bold, but nonetheless, let's shoot for something high. And even if we only get part of the way there, we've achieved something spectacular. And even if they just bring a portion of those developers that they got onto the XRP ledger, folks, this is why we're getting excited. Folks are leaving. They've already hit before we've played the best songs, before we've brought out the good stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you guys are leaving the party before it's already started. The DJ hasn't even arrived yet. You're leaving at cocktail hour before we even turn up. We have legal clarity, the only project in the United States with legal clarity in and of itself. Number 2, DeFi coming to the XRP ledger. What Easy App is doing right here is EVM sidechain. So any EVM smart contract can now be settled on the XRP ledger. That's exactly what we're talking about, using XRP as a gas token, burning XRP every transaction. Build your apps. I don't care if it's crap. I don't care if it's memes. Come build it and burn that XRP. Get it to use. Get it locked up. Sure. Come use it. This is what I plan on doing with it too. Once you play around with it, once you move some money with it, you start to realize why it's so great. And now we're going to realize why it's even getting better. This is so critical. All we've had on the XRP ledger is fast, cheap, efficient payments. In and of itself, if you're a company like Ripple that's targeting trillion-dollar markets on a daily basis, well, you can still put a dent in the universe with just a fast, cheap, and efficient ledger. Now, if you add utility, well, okay. Now we're really turning up. The DJ has arrived. Oh, wait, we got legal clarity in the US. Let's turn it up a notch. And now, as we reported, and I'm about to show you guys here in one moment, we have Ripple payments that are about to be going live here in the United States, folks. Let's get it started. Before we can get to Ripple payments going live, though, what do we need as a critical foundational layer? Well, we ask Architect Partners, who sees Ripple's acquisition of Medico, calling custody table stakes. So you can't have the table sitting upright if you don't got the stakes, if you don't got the legs, right? It is absolutely critical to have custody down. And now everybody's talking about custody again because Chris Larson made a mistake. And I'm not going to interject any conspiracy theories other than that. Chris Larson got compromised. And now, problem, reaction, solution, roll on out Medico, which was one of the greatest acquisitions that we've seen in the digital asset space yet. They spent about over $200 million on this acquisition. So $200 million on Medico, $200 million fighting the SEC. Imagine that. If they hadn't have had to spend this money fighting the SEC, they could have gone and bought another Medico. Then they just did a share buyback, and that was a $285 million buyback. And it's being reported that they're still sitting on $1 billion cash. This is why I'm going to put my little chips right next to that. I'm going to hop on board this massive submarine warship. We'll call it whatever you want. I'm going to buoy on up and get drug along with this ship, because this ship is moving in a major way. You had to get custody down. Now, what do we see here next? Oliver Segovia, Senior Director, Head of Product Marketing, Payments at Ripple, formerly at Coinbase and Google Pay. This is a LinkedIn post that he kind of just threw out there nonchalant. It says, we're excited to wrap up January with fresh updates from Ripple. I'll pin this in 2 simple categories: building and growing. Building. 90% of our business is outside the United States. After being relatively quiet for the past 3 years in the US for Ripple payments, we're geared up to announce new product updates powered by our money transmitter licenses that cover the majority of US states. To get the ball rolling, hold up. After being relatively quiet for the past 3 years in the US for Ripple payments, we're geared up to announce new product updates powered by our money transmitter licenses that cover the majority of US states. They're about to have coverage over most of the US for Ripple payments. New product updates are coming online. Will this be powered by XRP? Well, we now know that out of all of Ripple payments, about 50% of the flows have been going through ODL, which settles in XRP. So now that it's all bunched into Ripple payments, we can assume, right, that about 50% or more is going to start flowing through XRP. Maybe it's going to take some time, but what we are about to see here is a quote unquote flip of the switch in the United States, which is exactly why I'm using the analogy of leaving the party before we're even getting started. The United States hasn't even fired up anything as far as institutional grade DeFi and settlement on the XRP ledger. Now we have the tools to do it, and we have the legal clarity so that everybody knows that they can actually operate and invest in this space and in this ledger. And now it is time to go live with Ripple and their partners here in the United States. This is what we've been waiting for, folks. 3 years in a lawsuit. You guys know that Ripple shelled out $200 million, but the damages done to the XRP community have been massive. How much has it put back Ripple's business in the US alone? Now, did it stop the growth? Absolutely not. 90% of their business is just now outside the US. Think about that as a US-based company. Why is that having to happen? Because we have a bought and paid for bureaucracy beast with Gary Gensler as one of the heads of he's one of the snakes that comes out. He's one of the heads of that beast, squirming around in his little suit. And we're about to expose that, aren't we, with this XRP documentary? Maybe some of you guys saw the preview, the teaser that was put out today. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Chris and his team. That was amazing. That trailer that he put out there with my good friend Jimmy Valley from Valhalla Capital, and then with John Deaton as well. And of course, yours truly was included in it as well. So a little clip from Jimmy Valley to get started, and a little clip from me to keep it rolling and talk about how, the SEC, why the SEC went after Ripple and XRP. It was the largest threat to the incumbent banking system and, financial system. And then we got the man himself, John Deaton. And that was so epic. So epic. I cannot wait to see that part. And I can't share all the details, but I'll just tell you that there's going to be some people coming by to tell a story that's going to be much more interesting than me. It's an honor to be a part of this documentary and what they're doing. I think there's been some pushback, but hey, I think that this is a fantastic step forward for mass adoption of the XRP ledger and for getting folks to know about the story of XRP, which I think that every American who cares about having capital markets and opportunity in this country should care about, which is just about everyone. That's why we're here in this country. And when you understand how corrupt this story is, and then, as I've been saying, we're about to defeat the SEC and we're about to have all the utility that we need. This is exactly what's going to draw investors to the XRP ledger. And this is and I'm talking about institutional investors, and this is also going to drive retail as well. What we're about to see with the AMM, folks, is it's going to take a minute for all of the APIs to get figured out. And we're talking about the user interfaces, right? When you access the exchange, eventually how this will work is you'll be able to just hit on Uphold, Coinbase, you name the exchange, delegate XRP to XRP USD liquidity pool, hit the button, and you'll be making 4%, 5%, whatever it's going to be. You'll be able to make a yield. This liquidity pool with this asset is going to pay out 5% APY, right? So this is where the masses are going to start to say, okay, I can finally start to hold some of this. Think about the XRP community that's been waiting finally to get something and being able to just hit that button. Now, there's going to be other ways to do this. I expect many apps to come out. I expect many platforms to integrate in the AMM into their offering. I think that all of the exchanges will have it. So if you want to just play around with a little bit to get started, that's probably what I'm going to do. But eventually, we're talking about flows of liquidity that take us from anywhere. We already have tens of billions that have been flowing on on-demand liquidity. And so Ripple is starting to move that on-demand liquidity flow from centralized exchanges to the DEX. And they're going to start to move even more with the AMMs going live. And as we just titled this episode, as we just showed you guys, they're about to be firing up the US partnerships. And you better believe that there's some US partners that are waiting to use XRP for a competitive advantage. This is checkmate on the whole rest of the space. You can't get better positioned. Now, we have been called crazy in this space for suggesting that XRP could be used as a world reserve digital currency. We've been crazy for talking about how gold is going to help reset the system. And many people want to debate the technicalities of CBDC. Is CBDC going to be good, bad? Which blockchain are they going to pick? Is it going to be a public? Is it going to be a private? What runs our world? Where is the real value? Well, it's been in gold for thousands of years. It's been in silver for thousands of years. And now even more use cases and utility are being found for it and developed every single day. What's new? Well, we have digital currencies. We have limited supply. We have a Bitcoin that's got a little story, got a little community. Got to give a little respect to the Bitcoin bros, I guess. The Bitcoin bros and gals, they've ran it up. They got a story. They can pitch it well. But then you come across other blockchains that actually provide utility in the DeFi. Remember, the DeFi craze was basically everybody just dipping their toes into mostly decentralized Ponzi schemes. But now you're going to be able to dip your toes into the same pools that institutional liquidity is flowing through. This is a different ballgame. This isn't playing around with a bunch of kids gambling allowance money in a liquidity pool rug pull. How many friends can we get in before we pull the liquidity? That was crypto DeFi in a nutshell during 2021 and 2022. When it really started to hit with NFTs and metaverse and a story and a this and a dream. And everybody had a dream, didn't they? Everybody had a dream of 80,000% returns, 10,000% returns. This is why I'm making and giving the examples of 4 and 5% yield on your XRP and the AMMs. It might even be less. In some instances, it will be. And there will be rug pulls on the XRP ledger too. There already is 8,000 tokens. Not all of them have value. And so, yeah. But to the point that I was making, you have a lot of folks that will spend all day long debating which, tech the CBDC is going to run on. Is it going to be public? Is it going to be private? What will they back their currencies by? What does our economy run on? Commodities. It's very simple. And I include, crypto commodities in that. And we are willing to take a look, at this situation for what it is. The US dollar, although it still is the dominant reserve currency, it's losing its share of the pie. All I have been saying this whole time, along with many others, is that XRP was called, the goal was to make it a world reserve digital currency in 2017 by Ripple. And clearly there's still a goal to grow XRP. Do they use that term much more anymore? Not really. But in 2017, that was the objective. And I would assume from many of the, speeches and the way that they've talked about it over the years, that still remains the goal for many. And so the point that I've been making along with others is that there's a small sliver of the world, of us crazies. In fact, we have the numbers. We just hit the 5 million wallet mark. When you look at the rich list of who actually owns any sort of bag, right? It's not many people. We're literally a community of a couple million people, guys. Now, there's, probably tens of millions that have already gotten into crypto overall. Hundreds of millions and eventually billions will be using it. But our little XRP community and that's just the XRP community that holds XRP. The amount of people is even smaller than that treat it like a reserve currency like myself. And I don't care how stupid people want to call me for treating my XRP as a reserve currency. I treat my silver as a reserve currency. I don't really plan on selling this. I plan on handing this off to the kids to be able to tell them a story. I will use this silver bar that I'm beating up and putting all my greasy palms on, and this thing's getting hammered. But guess what? In 20 years from now, when I hand it on down to my children, it'll still have value. It'll still be being used. And it'll teach them a great lesson about life cycles of currencies. So I don't spend too much time debating, is CBDC good or bad? I just ask the question, how do you get respected on the world stage? Well, we know that the central banks are buying more gold than they have in 50 plus years. Data point, check mark. We know that they're meeting with Ripple more than any other cryptocurrency company by far. Not even close. Check that box. We know that Ripple is literally adding former US treasurers to their board of directors. Check that box. And I heard someone talking today talking about they don't know why Ripple's going after cross-border payments and basically going after use cases where you have to get into politics, where you have to, where literally wars are fought. To me, it's commendable. It's bold. Because if you solve those problems, well, then you've solved all the other little use cases. Solving all the other little use cases, that's the low-hanging fruit. But that doesn't take you to a world reserve currency status. Do you want to put a dent in the universe? Do you want to shake things up? And although it might be a little bold of an idea, a little tech startup out of San Francisco, what do you think you're doing calling your currency a world reserve currency? What do you think you're doing playing in the big boys game? Till you find out that they're pulling in all the biggest boys and girls, i.e. the 43rd Treasurer of the United States, Rosie Rios. When you got to play politics, when you got to play new currencies, she was literally tasked with creating the most recent currency that we have in circulation, signed by her. And why? How is that possible that she would consider a little startup out of San Francisco playing around with a little coin that I'm told by all the haters is just a little poop coin? So why it might be a bold idea and why it might have cost them $200 million, is it worth fighting for? You're damn right it is. And this is what being bold is about. And these guys are here to set up something that we've never seen before. This is not an ordinary company, and this is not an ordinary currency, not an ordinary asset. And you can treat it as a reserve currency on your balance sheet, as an asset, and you also can use it as a currency. Same characteristics as this. And when we look at the addressable market, we don't even know how high. The sky is the limit. All the money is the limit. And we don't have to get anywhere near that to have ourselves a little fun. It's like a business. You want profit margin. The best businesses, you got room to breathe. You're talking 20 to 40% profit margin is what you're going to want to be looking for when you're buying a business or looking to start one up. You got many businesses that the margin is very, very tight and they run on volume. I prefer margin. I prefer, you can be a doofus moron and still make a buck, right? And that's what we're doing by having our investment thesis with the goal of a reserve currency status. We're talking all the money. We're talking crazy talk. Sure. Even if we don't get close, we still shake this thing up in a historical way. And we are not crazy for talking about this. All of these guys, this is what they talk about. This is what they plan and scheme when they're conversating. You know what's so special, though, about this Ripple story? Is we got a gentleman, a CEO, and a leader by the name of Brad Garlinghouse, who has stepped up, led this company, took on the SEC as Brad and Chris were both included and specifically attacked in this case, and stood up, fought like hell, and we won. And remember what Brad Garlinghouse did? I'll never forget this. Not only did he show up last year in XRP Vegas, I didn't get a chance to shake his hand, right? But he showed up in XRP Vegas for the community. Then they threw the proper party. Of course, that was after the historical ruling on July 13th. After that historical ruling from Judge Torres, though, I'll never forget this, he came to a Twitter space with the XRP community first before he went to CNBC or anywhere else. So while we have some concerns about them going to the World Economic Forum, hanging out in Davos, doing the big boy deals, right? We have some concerns, but somebody's got to step up. Somebody's got to shake things up and go to these groups and say, hey, why don't we create a level playing field? Why don't we create a neutral bridge currency? And this is exactly what David Schwartz did last night as he appeared in a Twitter space. And this is why I say that they're men of the people. They really are. And across the company, you speak with a lot of these people. They come from different backgrounds, different beliefs. But you look, that culture at Ripple is an inclusive level playing field for everyone that's based off the principles of sound money and a bridge currency that's a real problem solver that could literally prevent World War III. And I want you to listen into this clip here of David Schwartz. Digital Asset Investor clipped it up. And he says, imagine that. Not Bitcoin, but Ethereum. Not Bitcoin. Ethereum is owned by China, because the conversation is about reserve currencies. I want you guys to listen in here on David Schwartz chiming in and talking about what we've been called crazy for discussing and how this is a national security threat for the United States. Listen in on what David Schwartz has to say, folks. This is truly incredible.
One of the crazy success outcomes that I could see is like I could see a place where the United States says, look, the dollar is not going to be able to hold on to its position of dominance, but we'd rather whatever becomes the sort of next dominant settlement unit not be something controlled by Russia or China or a geopolitical rival. You could almost see them deciding that a cryptocurrency was a less bad outcome for them. And it may be that there's no geopolitical entity that's strong enough to take over the role that the United States had. And so maybe they decide on some neutral asset. I don't know. You can dream, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, are we allowed to dream? Are we allowed to dream? I'm going to ask the audience here tonight. We should ask all the Twitter police, the thought police that say that we can't dream. We can't call it a reserve currency. The conversations are happening. If David's willing to come and be with the people in the XRP community, what the hell do you think that they're talking about at Davos? What the heck do you think that they're talking about when 15 executives from JP Morgan come to the offices of Ripple? What do you think that they're talking about when the Central Bank of China comes to meet with Ripple? What do you think they're talking about when Ripple sends staff to go meet with the White House, go meet with Jay Clayton, go meet with Gary Gensler? Oh wait, they can't get a meeting with Gary Gensler. They're getting sued by Gary Gensler. All one big show for the masses to see. On the back end, it's national security. How else do you do it? How else do you do it? Do you have the military? Nobody else does. Now combined though, let's be real. We are getting checked. There's a checkmate that's happening right now. It's happening militarily, and it is happening with currencies, and it's definitely happening with commodities. So you have a kinetic war, a currency war, and a commodity war, which is why I firmly believe my thesis is that we're in the beginning of a commodity super cycle. I include crypto commodities right alongside our precious metals and other critical minerals and resources as well. They need a solution. Who has it? Well, they've been stacking gold. We know that the U.S. Mint has been putting it out. We know that we've been buying actually from we've been buying from the Canadians as well. The Canadians haven't added any gold to their balance sheet. They produce a bunch of it. They lead the world, and they could just dominate even further too if they really opened it up, but they got to protect everything. They got to try a little cute program up there. And I feel for my Canadian friends up north, where our situation is just about as bad. We have different problems down here. And here's the problem, is that people around the world want to get away. People with other currencies have to get away from their currency faster than maybe we do. In the US, it's still the cleanest shirt in the closet. Worldwide, people still want it. And back home, most people are still using it. And most people back home are not even thinking about this. They don't even think about this conversation. And to think that folks want to try to shut down those that are having this conversation, and clearly David Schwartz is having it with the XRP community at 3 o'clock in the morning, which this is not the first time that David Schwartz has done this. I don't know why he does this other than they really are just, for the people. Remember, right? Brad Garlinghouse going to Twitter Spaces first after Judge Torres' ruling. David Schwartz at 3 o'clock in the morning. What is he doing up? He should be sleeping. That brain of his, give it some rest. I guess he's not human though, right? I forgot that, he's not human. He's operating on something else, isn't he? So folks, let's bring this back home. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you guys like this update, if you appreciate me ranting for an hour, how long have we gone here? 49 minutes. Perfect. We can wrap this up before the hour, and I have time for some Q&A. Let's do 10 minutes of Q&A. I want to keep this right below an hour for everyone. Let's wrap this up. Drop your comments and questions down below. We're going to do some Q&A. I still have some tea to finish. God bless you guys. Thank you so much. 1, legal clarity. Nobody has it. 2, DeFi getting unlocked. Finally. We were late to NFTs. We're late to AMM. We're finally going to get a cross-chain bridge. So now we can bring on EVM sidechain. Now we can connect to Zahao. The developers can go build. They got playgrounds over here. They got playgrounds over there. They fall. They get hurt. They cry. They, have a bad day. They cry. That's fine. We want to support our developers. We want to support our builders. And what's the common denominator is you come back to XRP. Yeah, we're going to do the smart contract on EVM, but pay me in XRP, baby. That's what we're talking about. Go do it on Zahao. Go do a deal on Flare. Go do a deal on a deal on EVM sidechain. What do you want to get paid in? XRP, baby. Where do you want to settle in? XRP. 3 to 5 seconds, no cost. And the liquidity is only going to grow as now we're getting clawbacks, which will bring more issuers, more stable coins, more currencies, more tokens issued on the XRP ledger, more real world assets that are going to be put on the XRP ledger. It's all coming. The DJ has just arrived. The keg just showed up. We just filled up, right? Cocktail hour's over. We're moving to the dance floor. Are you ready to do a little dance? You thought the proper party was cool. You thought XRP Vegas last year was fun. The momentum behind our community as we are rolling into another XRP Vegas, as we are about to release and drop a documentary that we'll see. Is it going to be on Netflix? Is it going to be on Amazon? Is it Hulu? Who knows? But they got some big goals and they got some big hitters and some storytellers that are going to be coming through. I wish I could tell you more, but they got some storytellers coming through for this documentary, which is set to go live probably towards later in this year or maybe towards the end of this year. Hopefully, I really hope, right? Obviously, we all do, right? The XRP's running up, because imagine defeating the SEC, XRP's running up, Netflix documentary hits. That not only exposes ETHgate, and that's the juicy stuff. That's the corruption that makes that good story. And then you have the win. You finally have the community winning, XRP going up in price. Bunch of other new investors now looking at this crypto asset space and saying, wow, I didn't get the full story with XRP. In this documentary, no matter how he cuts it up, if he does a 3-4 part series, if it's just a 1-2 hour and a half long session, he hasn't decided yet. But I'm going to tell you right now, folks, the production quality, I was so impressed. I was so impressed with the production quality, the professionalism of Chris and his team. It was an honor to be a part of, but I'm just one of the little guys that's going to be part of a much bigger story. And the key part here is that these are people that are shining the light on our community. They're telling the story of our community. So we are all included in this movie. I want to be very clear about that. Our whole community is a part of this and is going to push this. And as we said, legal clarity, DeFi, and now, as we titled this live here tonight, Ripple is going to be going live with Ripple payments in the US. That is flipping the switch in the good old US of A. This is what we've been waiting for. It is finally here. It's time to turn it up a notch. Okay. Elon Muff, thank you for the 2 spot. What is your opinion on the COPA trial? Craig Wright, I'm not familiar. I cannot comment. I just want to know that, I just want the truth about Craig Wright. I want to be able to dismiss him completely. And I know that there's some people that, vehemently say that it's just a fact that he is not Satoshi. That's fine. I haven't done enough research, and quite frankly, I don't really care. But I don't think that he is. But I just want the story to be over with him. Like, are you Satoshi or not? But I'm not familiar on the case. I can't speak on it. Any other comments, questions, guys? I still got T. Are we going lower? Yes, I do think so. How is promoting CBDCs good? Promoting CBDCs is not great, but what we want to do is we want to fight for a level playing field, and we want to fight against any sort of suppression, surveillance state. And this is the beauty of, the private version of the XRP ledger, is that you would have that ability to go hybrid with it, where you're connected with the public XRP ledger, but you also can protect transactions and users on the back end. This is why I'm a fan of the digital ID, the DID amendment that's coming to the XRP ledger. It's XLS 40. It's being voted on right now. It already has some votes for it. What this will do is give you decentralized identity where you control your credentials. And so this is going to be very, very important for the XRP ledger and for a bunch of new institutions coming in and big money coming into our space. Brenda, how are you doing tonight? Moneybags, Dragonfly, good to see all you guys. We've been waiting years. Dragonfly, I know we've been waiting years. I know. But we see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's right there. And I'll tell you, it is so damn bright. It is blinding at the end of that tunnel. Even if we're halfway wrong, we get blinded by the light at the end of that tunnel, the opportunity on the other side of this. What APR do you think that the AMMs will pay out? Well, that's a good thing to note, right? APY assumes that it's set, right? Annual percentage yield. APR can float, it can change. And so, yeah, a lot of these AMMs, it's going to be volatile. It's going to be, moving. And so, yeah, where you will get stability is in coins that are relatively stable, which XRP is not very stable. And the US dollar is relatively stable, I guess. But compared to the US dollar, or compared to XRP, it's not. And especially if we are entering the next bull run, I mean, you can see what can happen here, where that AMM is going to get out of balance. So I think that a lot of these yields are going to fluctuate. I'm going to put more content out on the AMM as it goes live, as we start to see it roll out. Hopefully we can access it through the Zaman wallet, the Zum wallet, right? In a decentralized way. I'd like to do this without having to go to an exchange, even though it would be easier. Then you got to worry about that counterparty risk of the exchange has the custody, and the exchange is, probably going to take a fee as well. Whereas if you're just willing to get paid out in XRP, US dollars, you could go put XRP and US dollars on both sides of that liquidity pool and just let it sit, let it ride. And it's going to get out of balance at times, especially during the volatility that we're going to see this bull run. But then eventually it should go back to stabilizing because it's such a common pair. That's what the automated market maker does on its own, right? Appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up. I appreciate it. Brenda wants that moon. I feel ya. I feel ya. I think that there's a lot of people that think that their Bitcoin is the Bitcoin. And that's a threat to Bitcoin, absolutely. And you have to remember that it only takes 51% to fork Bitcoin. With the XRP ledger, it takes 80% to change how we validate it, to change the ledger. But anybody can fork the XRP ledger because it's open source and permissionless. That's why XLM is a fork of XRP, essentially. It's a carbon copy. So, if you want to get technical on the definition, maybe one could debate that it's not a fork, but for all intents and purposes, I mean, it essentially is. It's a carbon copy, same thing, just called something different. And they burned half their supply. And it didn't affect price positively. So everybody that thinks that Ripple should burn their escrow should go look at what XLM did. Didn't help them at all. Oh, do a little jingle again. Did I miss a super chat from Shannon? Joe dropped a 10 spot. I missed Joe's. Thank you so much, Peaky. Nice looking Netflix trailer Z, walking the talk. Also, I'm skeptical about that case of Chris larceny. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Shannon, how did I miss your guys' super chats? Thank you for letting me know, Peaky. Do a little dance, take a little jab, take a little CBDC. You know the deal. We ain't doing that dance. Okay, we're trying to have ourselves a good time, but we ain't doing that dance. Folks, I got to wrap it up, but as you can see, I got my website listed right there for you guys. ZachRector.com has all of my official social media links. I'm not going to send you a DM. I can't send DMs, and all the scammers are trying to get in your DMs. So that is not me. Watch out for the scammers. Go to my website, ZachRector.com. It's where you can get in touch with me. We have all of our community resources. I dropped the update earlier on the Ripple IPO. Ripple is available on Link2 if you want to do the deal. Save $500 towards your first investment. The link is down below. All of the community resources, though, are at my website, ZachRector.com. And if you want to access our private group, and get in to our weekly calls. We have our Saturday weekly calls every single Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 on the West Coast where I'm based out of. And so we have that every single Saturday, along with an ongoing chat 24/7 with crypto resources, community members that are ready to help you guys as well. So if you want to get into our private group, that's all at my website as well. You just access Patreon to get access to Discord, get signed up with us, and we'd love to have you in the family. I want to say thank you for everyone who tuned in tonight. If you guys could do me a big favor, share our content out far and wide. We dropped 3 videos earlier today, ran up a live session here tonight, and the good news is that we'll be back tomorrow. I appreciate all of you guys. God bless. Thank you so much.